I come from South Africa. I was born in Port Elizabeth, a small city on the coast, and I lived in Cape Town for a few years. Cape Town is one of the more international cities. And yeah, South Africa is a really good country. In terms of being a really dangerous country, yes, unfortunately that is true. So technically we have 11 official languages.
I know that, there's something called the apartheid that happened in Africa, South Africa, Africa as a whole. Not many Japanese people know about it. Do you want to shine some light to them about it?
Cool. Well, of course, being a South African, especially a white South African, this is a very sensitive topic. But of course, it's a huge part of South Africa's history. So, for a quick, brief rundown of South African history, around 400 years ago, European settlers came and settled in South Africa. It was a very important stopping point en route around Africa and to other Asian countries, for example, because that trip was so long. So the Dutch came and settled. Thereafter, the British came, and of course, everyone knows the British colonized many different countries. So throughout that history, we've got many, many more Europeans and people of European heritage living in South Africa. And at a stage in our more recent history, we had a white majority government. So the government was basically only consisting of white South Africans. And they had these policies in place called Apartheids. So this was the part of time where everything was segregated according to your race. So if you had white skin, you had access to all of the good things in life, basically. You had access to the really good schools, the really good jobs, the really good public facilities, these kinds of things. If you were Native African, if you were any kind of mixed race, if you were a slave previously brought from other Asian countries or from anywhere else really, you were treated basically as a second-class citizen. You basically couldn't use white-only facilities. So it was a very, very difficult time in South Africa's history, a very terrible time, terrible oppression against, actually it was the majority of the country because South Africa has a white minority. So for a long time of our history, the white minority was in charge, making these rules to benefit themselves. So in 1994, which is the year I was born, we had our first democratic elections. And this is when Nelson Mandela became our first democratically elected president. Of course, many people will know about Nelson Mandela, who fought for freedom for his people and basically paved the way for a new South Africa. So now we're in a time where nothing is segregated by race or by culture or language anymore. Everyone is free to do what they would like to do. Of course, there are still issues that are there because of apartheid and because of those policies. And it's going to take a lot of time for the country to heal. But we are slowly in the process of getting to a good place, Unfortunately, race is still a very, very difficult and sensitive topic in South Africa. But every year, I think each generation, it will get a lot better. People are more open-minded. They're willing to speak about these topics, whereas in the past, it was very taboo, Everyone, it was a very traditional sense. People didn't want to speak about these things. But now it's becoming more open, basically. Yeah. There's more conversation happening between different races. Because, of course, we can't fix the issues of our past without speaking to each other, without discussing these things. As much as it is a painful and difficult topic to go through, we have to do it in order to move on.
I appreciate that you shared such an in-depth and deep topic.
Well, I hope that I'm doing justice to the topic. I apologize to any South Africans who think they could have done it better, but that's my brief rundown.
Yay for Nelson Mandela. You guys should do some research on him. He's a great man.
I heard it before, but even black and white people go to the same building, they need to use different route.
That's very
Is it true?
They actually had different entrances and exits specifically for white people and for other races.
That's insane.
Yeah, they had, even if you go to like a public park, they would have a bench. This is only for white people. This is only for other races. Yeah, it's a really horrific system, and yeah, so it's crazy when you actually think about it. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
But not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No more. Good. Glad the times are changing.
Can you tell his English is from South Africa?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
I love to know what
that an
what
accent?
people's opinions are, because I feel like as a South African we have a very neutral English accent.
Yeah.
So it's not really strong. We don't have very strong pronunciations like a strong R or but I'd say it's very similar to like a British accent. A lot of the words we use, it's more like British, but it's also like, since being in Japan, I really try and speak with a very neutral accent and neutral language, because I mean, if I'm in South Africa, we speak lots of slang, and sometimes the accent can be very thick, especially if you are Afrikaans. Also, you'll have very strong English accents, So what do you guys think of my English accent? Is it good, bad?
I wouldn't believe you are South Africans if you didn't tell me.
Is it quite easy for you to understand what I'm saying when I speak English?
100%.
Is it clear? Is it like...
It's much easier than his English.
It's not good enough from his version.
Well, look, I can't speak for every South African, of course. I mean, the reason I'm here is to help teach English. So I'm really trying to be as neutral and as clear when I speak. So
yeah,
usually, like when I'm speaking to family and friends back home, it's not going to sound the same. Yeah, for the most part.
Friends and family, That's how to you.
I would be able to tell another South African straight away, but it's one of those accents. It's just not popular in media or around the world. Most people still don't even know anything about South Africa, so the accent is going to be
Vuvuzela, Shakira.
The World Cup. Unfortunately, we have the heritage of the Vuvuzela, so I apologize to anyone.
Wakanda?
This Africa, not South Africa.
Not South Africa.
Well, interesting fact is the languages that they spoke in the movie of Black Panther is isiXhosa. So that's the language from my home area, where I'm from. Yeah, so a lot of the actors are actually South African, really well-known South African actors. So.
The main character.
Yeah, so like, not Black Panther, the main actor, but his father, for example, was a South African actor. Yeah.
Actually, I'm kind of expecting a South African speak like the movies portrayed in Black Panther, like
the heavy accent.
Yeah, the heavy accent.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Wakanda, I don't know.
No, it's a tough topic, especially from like coming from a South African perspective, because race is such a huge topic for us. So of course, for me being a white South African, I don't have that kind of accent or that kind of influence, my heritage is European based. But if you are, for example, a black South African, born and raised, and your heritage is African, you might grow up with that kind of accent. Depending on your education, where you go to school, do you go to a Xhosa school, do you go to an English school, all these kinds of things influence the accent and how you speak the language.
はい、ということで今日は、南アフリカについて話を聞いてみました。いろんな話がありましたが、皆さんどう思ったでしょうか。それでは次の動画でまたお会いしましょう。バイバイ。Can you teach us?
I can teach you. So the different sounds is obviously. So that's the one sound, and also. And
Sounds like animal.
So can you tell any words that it has sound?
you can say like Ingli,
Mm-hmm.
Ingli, Ingli,
What does it mean?
Ingli, Ingli.
I cannot.
Like small or little or something. Ingli.